Welcome to the Scoop World Order. It's great to have you guys here. Excited to make sure that you guys are getting ready for this national championship game the right way. Sorry, I just wanted to double check my sound real quick. But we got a huge show tonight. The 5 reasons why Ohio State will dominate Notre Dame and win the national championship. Bring number 8 home to Columbus. This is going to be a huge one. Just super excited about everything that's going on with these guys. What an opportunity, what a team, what resiliency, what leadership. I mean, really, you talk about Jack Sawyer, Will Howard. These guys are about to go down in immortality. This is not going to be a close one, guys. I've studied a lot of Notre Dame, and they are wounded. They are not very talented, and Penn State kind of gave that game away. I think that we're going to run on these guys big time. Penn State ran all over these guys. They're not very physical up front. They've got some major issues on the offensive line because of injuries. Again, Notre Dame is a very well-coached team. They play very hard. Penn State kind of blew their foot off in the game. They gave up that long touchdown at the end, and James Franklin, kind of gacked it up like he always does. So, but we're not going to do that. Our defense has been maybe the best in the history of college football, and our offense is clicking. And with the man coverage that we're going to see, I think we're going to see a lot of the kind of that Oregon game plan with the shifts, the motions. Get these guys in bad situations and feed the playmakers, namely, let's get Jeremiah Smith activated. So with that being said, as always, if you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Tonight is a Scoop Ultra chat. So for our Scoop Ultra members, if you have a question, please put the little 3 asterisks in front of it. Again, I pinned it in the chat, how to do it, and I'll search for it, look for it. I treat it like a super chat. Again, that is a huge benefit to being a Scoop Ultra member, along with taking care of our Pay It Forward program. It's a great way to patronize the program if you guys appreciate what we do, and we appreciate all you guys that are doing that. But again, I just appreciate you guys, love you guys to death. The show's been just an absolute tear. Ratings through the roof, most impressions of all time last month. Just skyrocket, and it's all because of the Scoop family, because of the love we have for each other, how much we appreciate you guys. I never take you guys for granted, and again, we try to go every night. So again, it's sometimes we take a night or 2 off, but we really try to grind through it every night and make sure you put out a good product for you guys and good quality stuff. We got some film we're going to break down tonight, take your questions, and go through the 5 reasons again why Ohio State will dominate this game. And again, if you want to do something huge for us, and I always say this, and again, it's something that you guys are starting to do, and I just really appreciate it. If you follow us on Apple Podcasts, that is absolutely huge. And follow us on Spotify. If you follow us on those 2 formats along with YouTube, that is as good as you could possibly do to help Buckeye Scoop and help us grow and expand kind of our reach, because it's really taking hold right now as the #1 podcast in the country for our demographics and for our genre. We're #1 right now. So thank you guys for all of that. It's incredible, and it's all because of you guys. So don't take that for granted ever. And we're just very grateful for you guys. So with that being said, Nevada is currently in the air, flying back from Finland. His daughter was named to the all-tournament team. She spectacular tournament, the best tournament in the history of the World Juniors for a goaltender. So congratulations to little Nevada. She was, in the history of the tournament for Team USA, she's the first goalie to play every single minute. So she was a horse. The backup didn't play a single minute of any game. So she carried the mail, and she was spectacular. And she'll be back next year. She's one of the youngest people in the tournament. So next year she's going to come back with a vengeance, and they'll have something for Canada. So it'll be exciting to see how they do next year. So again, just shout out to her, and shout out to Nevada. He'll be back tomorrow. But the 5 reasons why Ohio State will beat Notre Dame. Number 5 to me is our defensive line. Our defensive line is really skyrocketing. I mean, Jack Sawyer he's if in baseball there's Mr. October, like Jack Sawyer is like Mr. January with how he's played in these last these playoff games. Really, the Michigan game. In the Michigan game, he was spectacular, and obviously we didn't get it done, so he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. But he played really well in that game too. But he has been on a tear. I think that he's going to end up being a first-round pick. Just incredible leader, incredible toughness. And, JT's right there with him. I mean, JT and him are just such great compliments. They're both very physical versus the run. JT's obviously dealing with an ankle sprain right now, but he'll play. His effectiveness will be limited, I'm sure, but he's still, he's got a very favorable matchup because he's going against the third starting left tackle of the year for Notre Dame, a graduate transfer kid who isn't great. They lost their, you got to remember, they lost Joe Alt to the draft. Joe Alt was a fantastic left tackle. That's who we saw last year in South Bend. And then their starting left tackle got hurt in training camp, and he's out for the season. And then the guy that took his spot got hurt versus Penn State, high ankle sprain. He's declared out by Marcus. So, JT is going to be seeing the third string tackle and a guy that has not much experience in big time games. So it's going to be a feeding frenzy, I think, up front. They could not stop Penn State. Penn State ran for, I think, 4.9 yards a carry, which is really good. Ran all over them and were physical. And Notre Dame had 1 sack versus Penn State's offensive line. So up front, we have a severe advantage, I think, on the offensive and defensive lines, because Notre Dame has lost, their starting left tackle. They lost their 2 best defensive linemen. So they're beat up, so they're, Penn State. I talked to Nevada last night. I felt like that would have been a more worrisome matchup than Notre Dame. If you said gun to your head, Kirk, if I got to pick the opponent, I'd say give me Notre Dame all day, because Penn State, they've got Abdul Carter and Drew Aller's been horrific versus us and versus Notre Dame, but he's got talent and he can run a little bit, but their skill guys are just terrible. I mean, their running backs are great, their receivers are awful, their tight end is excellent. So I would much rather avoid that than Notre Dame, which is kind of limping to the finish line here, and they're just beneficiaries of James Franklin choking once again, which is great. So that is number 5. I'm going to go our defensive line. Number 4 is Chip Kelly scheming versus the presumption of man coverage. I'm sure that Marcus Freeman, who I know very well, is going to run zone, or at least he's got to mix in a lot of zone to cover JJ. You can't have guys run. You can't run man coverage versus Ohio State. It's impossible. You can't run with Emeka and Carnell and JJ, 3 guys that can win off the line pretty easily and get separation in man coverage. If you try to defend them with no help, it's going to be like an Oregon type situation where it's 31-0 and you look up and the game's already over at the beginning of the second quarter. So that's something that they're going to try to avoid. And they're good defensively. I think Al Golden does a good job. But they're outmanned in a severe way. Our talent, our skill guys are the best in school history, bar none, with Trey and Quinshon, and then obviously JJ, Emeka, and Carnell, and G. Scott's coming on at tight end, as he comes into his final week as a Buckeye, man, for a lot of these guys. So it's a surreal feeling as you start counting down the hours and the minutes, and because when that clock strikes 0 at the end of the game, you are. You're always a Buckeye, but you're no longer a part of the team. So it's kind of a surreal moment when all of a sudden you go from literally 1 second ago, you're still on the team, and then a second later, you're no longer on the team. So I think that Chip Kelly scheming this up, and I'll show some of the stuff that he did for Oregon on tape that was really good. But I think that's going to be a huge advantage. Number 3, I just think that Ryan Day has got a huge big game advantage over Marcus Freeman. I mean, Ryan has had some terrible luck in these situations. The Georgia game, obviously the Clemson game in 19. We ran into a really good Alabama team in the championship, and we had, Tommy Toe guys knocked out, and the COVID stuff that affected the Big Ten that didn't affect the SEC at all. And we played a really good Bama team. So the night we got thrashed, he's kind of got some battle scars from the wars that he's been in. And now I think that it's his turn to kind of inflict the pain. Because he has a much better team. And I think that this mental state of this team is very strong right now, with Will Howard. And again, when you have a very veteran team and a team that I said, this is a team that has been beaten to death by the fan base, the national media, the local media, because they know that if they don't show up and play well, they could lose. And again, they have what's going to end up being the worst loss in school history. That Michigan game, we're going to look back and say, how did we lose to that bad Michigan team, 23-point favorites, and we won the national championship with all these great NFL players? And so that was a terrible loss. So these guys know if they don't bring it and they don't stay locked in, then they could lose. And again, I think that is a huge advantage. I think it's a huge benefit. I think it's huge for the coaching staff. I think it's huge for the senior leadership. Because if I'm Jack and Will Howard and these guys and Cody Simon, I'm saying, guys, if we don't lock in and have really crisp practices, we don't pay attention to detail, we don't have a laser focus, we could lose this thing. And again, there wouldn't be any greater tragedy in Ohio State history than this team to come all this way and lose a national championship to an undermanned Notre Dame team. So I just think that it's our time. I think with Ryan and again because it's not just, this is a team that not only do we have great captains, but we have a really deep and experienced top end to the team. You have guys like that. When you have a team that has a bunch of guys that would be shoo-in captains pretty much any other year, like Donnie Jackson, Denzel Burke, Lathan Ransom, Ty Leak, Ty Hamilton, Josh Schreier would be a captain candidate. You got a lot of guys that could have, Will Howard, obviously. When you've got a bunch of guys that were that level of leaders and that level of personalities and that level of work ethic, it really it yields a really strong product, which is something that I think is something that's it's just important as you get into this. So for me too, the second reason why we're going to win this thing is I really think Jeremiah Smith is going to have a bounce back game. I think that in Atlanta, dome, man coverage, like I think JJ is going to put on a show. I think that him and Caleb are kind of the two aces, and Caleb obviously is he's a kid. He's from the South, and I think he's going to put out or put on pretty severely, and I think that we're going to erase their offense. And I think JJ's going to have a monster game just because of what he's done in his career versus man coverage. It's been terrifying, and if they want to try to keep doubling him, which they can, then I think that they're still going to force it to him, and he's still going to just outrun their guys, because I think that he's got the skill that Notre Dame's going to struggle with. Because let's be real, like when Notre Dame played Georgia, their skill guys are horrifically bad, like impossibly bad for a team that's been as talented and as good as Georgia. You can't believe how bad the receivers are. Then they play Penn State, and their receivers are actually worse, which is crazy because they went against two teams that drop the ball, they don't separate. And the battery from the quarterback, the quarterbacks are just not accurate and turning the ball over. So they're going to see something literally completely opposite this week versus Ohio State. So I think that JJ is going to eat. He's going to have an MVP level performance. And number one for me is Jim Knowles. I think Jim Knowles has been on, he's been like Mariano Rivera closing teams out recently. And, obviously, the first Oregon game wasn't great, but the second Oregon game was ridiculous, how he adjusted and really shut down a talented Oregon team that was favored to win the national championship. And, even against Michigan, I thought he had a good plan. We didn't get the win, but I felt like that was an issue where we didn't score enough points as opposed to we didn't stop Michigan, because I thought that we kept them pretty clamped up. But I think Jim Knowles is really on one. And, he's surely sitting in the Woody Hayes right now, studying this offensive line. And, when there's new starters on the offensive line, those are the guys that you want to attack with your pressure packages. So when you're kind of scheming up how you're going to blitz Cody Simon and Sonny Styles, and how are you going to run games and twists up front with Jack Sawyer and Ty Leak and Ty Hamilton and JT and Kenyatta and Caden Curry and the Rushman package, everything else, you always target like the weakest link of the herd. It's just like in the jungle when the apex predators kind of sizing up the group of who you should go after the weakest and slowest one. And that's kind of where it is with Notre Dame, where they've got a new left tackle playing and didn't play great versus Penn State. And, we're going to, put a lot on him to heat him up. And I think that'll be a bad day for Notre Dame. So they're gonna have to max protect and protect those guys. But, the way that our guys are covering and the way our guys are pressuring up front is going to be really tough. Because again, offensively, they couldn't do anything against Penn State. And, they had some big splash plays, but a lot of it was because, like the last play where they had that huge touchdown reception, I mean, Penn State's guy just fell down, so again, like you can't really bank on the corner falling down and then the safety slips and then it goes for, a zillion yards like it did. So I think that the way Jim Knowles has been structuring the defense and the way Caleb Downs has been playing the middle of the field is something that'll be something that you need to watch. And that's been the change of the year, along with adding pressure packages after that Oregon game, that have really made this into a really strong outfit. So let me check on the Ultras. I hope you guys are having a great night. Again, Nevada will be back tomorrow. He's in transit, so hopefully he's having a good flight. Do not see any yet. So if you guys have a Scoop Ultra, toss those, put the 3 asterisks in front of, again, I pinned it to the top, so I don't think I've seen it yet, so that's good. So we'll dig into some super chats, but real quick, I'm gonna find some film to break down for you guys. I think we're gonna get back into that shift in motion that we did versus Oregon that was really effective. And again, I thought that as the game went on, we were really getting a good look at these guys. And Will Howard does a great job along with Chip Kelly of getting these guys in the huddle, getting them out, getting kind of that motion stuff, the motion game going, running the counter plays, running play action off the counter plays. There's a lot of really good stuff that we've been doing. And again, I think that when we went fast, there were a lot of times where Oregon just flat out didn't get lined up. So that's something to look for, because it really stresses communication when you go no huddle and you go quick, because all of a sudden you end up having some pretty easy plays because guys just they don't have time to line up. So when you go quick, it's something that is a huge benefit. Let me see. I'm going to skip ultras. Okay, got some. Here we go. All right. Karis and Beth, I hope you guys are doing great. Thank you for being an Ultra member, and thank you for being our first Scoop Ultra chat. I'll knock these out, and then I'll skip over to the Scooper chats. Status of Will's hand. Will's hand is fine. It's just a bruise. Obviously it was, kind of gross and bubbly, but just ice that thing down, and he's fine. Again, it's his offhand, so it's not like it's his throwing hand. So he was able to manage it fine, and I think he'll be in good shape for the game. So I don't think that there's any issue there. Pat Mallon, could we have done more to implement JJ in the passing game? I mean, you could have always motioned him and moved him around a little bit, which is something that I didn't think we had a great game plan versus Texas. And I watched the film today, and I thought that it was enough to get it done and win, obviously, thanks to the defense making a nice stand at the end of the game. But I didn't think it was as creative as the Oregon game. I thought the Oregon game was kind of the symphony for Chip Kelly and what this team can do and what this offense should look like. I thought that we kind of went conservative versus Texas. Now Texas's defense is 10 times better than Oregon, so there's a little bit of that, and they were more zone-ish. So and they wanted to take JJ away, but I would move JJ around. I'd motion him. I'd give him the ball behind the line of scrimmage. Like again on JJ's first touchdown. He got the ball basically behind the line of scrimmage. Now, it's tough in zone as opposed to man, which is why I think Notre Dame has to play some zone versus us, because if they get caught in man versus JJ, then it's going to be, there's going to be some wide open spaces for him to get the ball to run. I'm going to show you the play that first touchdown, which I thought was just incredible play design, where here, this is a great a man beater. I'm going to jump in here real quick. Because Pat, this is a great question, so I'm going to toss this here, and I'll come back to the Scoop Ultras. But when you see it man, and again, this is one of my favorite plays ever. You got JJ here. He's the slot here, and he zips across the formation, and you're running a full RPO. So Josh Fryer is they're all blocking this like a run, because Josh Fryer literally goes to the second level. So again, he's up here thinking it's a run. You get the pull, you get all this action with the pulls. And again, this is where Chip Kelly is excellent, because this is hard to go against. And so something you could do, if you're in man and he has to run across the formation with JJ, which is tough to do, this is zone. So this isn't even a motion. The previous plays are all motioning out. But here, this is versus zone. But you could get JJ the ball back here. And again, this is like a tailgate throw. This is 4 or 5 yards across. So nice, easy throw and catch, easy pass. And JJ gets the ball with all this open space. And so this is like the kind of stuff that I would do to get JJ involved. Like get him the ball, because you can't, when you motion him in this little cheat motion where he comes across, you can't jam him. Like this isn't like he's trying to get off and get a release and he gets jammed at the line of scrimmage. They can't put hands on him. So he's unimpeded, gets the ball in his hands, and he's got just, all this open space. And again, when you've got this hard run action, because there's a couple plays later where we hand this off and, it goes for, like a 5-yard gain. When you've got this big hard run action, like all of these guys are heading this way. So, when all, look at this, this corner or safety, whatever he is, he's diving in here. So, when JJ gets the ball, man, there's nobody in the middle of the field. It's this safety, and you got your 2-on-2 out here blocking and JJ versus that guy. So again, this is the kind of stuff that I love, because you're getting the ball to the best player in the country in all this open space. This guy has to defend all this grass where JJ could cut here, hit a move. And so, he hits this little hezzy right here. And this guy can't stop that. I mean, JJ, he could go here, he could bounce over here. And, like, who's going to catch him? Like, you think that guy's going to catch him? That's the closest guy. He's 20 yards away. You're not going to catch him. So that's something that I would do, because even if it's just little stuff like a reverse or one of those touch passes where they snap it to the quarterback and he just touch passes it to the motion receiver, those are things that you want to get the ball in the player in your best player's hands and get them those touches, even if you have to kind of manufacture them and they're not as accessible as you'd like. You're not putting him in the progression of your passing scheme. You're just figuring out simple, easy ways to kind of get him the ball. I don't know. Like I said, I think that it's something where we didn't do a great job at versus Texas. And again, it's fine. I get that they're trying to take him away, but I don't know how you take away the play that I just showed you, where you line him up to the right of the formation, you motion him, he runs full speed across the field, you snap the ball, and after he's 6 yards past the center, Will Howard throws him like a 5-yard completion. Like I'm not talking about downfield. I'm talking about like literally it's like a 5-yard soft toss, like you're in the backyard with your kid, and then JJ has the ball and he's got the vision and he's got all this space and you've got good perimeter blocking, and it's like that's the stuff I would do for JJ. So it's something super easy to do. And that was versus zone, because the corner didn't run with him. Like I was the previous play, like with G Scott, when he ran out there, the corner's running, and so that was effective versus zone. So Larry Daniels 1. Have you heard anything that triggered Henderson or why the Bucs why Burke sat second half? I haven't heard anything about Trey. I mean, I'm sure that the guy, I think he was doing something to his leg or something, and so that's why he was triggered. Because in general, like if someone says something to you, it's not going to be anything that's going to trigger you to hit them. Now, if someone's trying to hurt you or do something dirty, then that's different. So I think that's what it was. I think Denzel was hurt. I don't think it was performance related. I think that he was legitimately sat because he was hurt. Because I don't think that you set your senior corner in what could be his last game because of performance. I think that he legitimately was hurt, and he'll be healthy this week. And that was from Ryan. I think Ryan said that at his press conference. So I believe that. I don't think that was a cover. Because like I said, you're not going to set your senior corner for the whole second half just because he missed a play. You're not going to end his career with him on the bench, and because he wasn't playing that bad. So Karis Washington, thank you for an ultra member. Do you think Chip was holding out that we will see schemes he has not shown all season? I don't think so. I don't think in football you can't really hold anything out, because in this league and in this playoff, like I mean, we were this close to losing to Texas. I know that Jack's big touchdown at the end obviously made the spread a little wider, and we're up 14 or whatever, but they're on they're first and goal from the 1 yard line. So again, Texas is really good and talented, and they've got their left tackle won the Outland Trophy and good quarterback. So you'd assume that there's a decent shot that they'd score there. First and goal from the 1, one of the best teams in the country, but we held them, and Jack had the exclamation point play. So I don't think you can't really hold plays. Like I think that you got to empty the clip, and a lot of plays are basically based upon the defensive schemes anyways. So it's like there's not every play is for every team, because a lot of it depends on what they like to do on defense. So that's why a lot of the stuff we ran against Oregon wouldn't work against Texas, just because of how they were structuring their defense. And that's just kind of the way football works. Different stuff works versus different teams, and Notre Dame will be structurally different from Texas because again they run more man coverage. So Karis Washington. Oh, sorry, I think that I got that twice. Donald and Karen Rosbeck, thank you for being ultra member. I heard Jim Knowles may be going to Oklahoma after the season. Any truth to this? I hope not. Well, Jim Knowles needs a raise. So again, I don't know what Oklahoma is offering, but we just saw Tom Allen leave Penn State to go to Clemson, and I'm sure Clemson paid him probably $3 million a year to try to fix their defense. And teams are going to come after Jim Knowles in a major way, and I'm not sure if Jim's going to chase the bag or we can match any offer. And I think that with the way that this defense has performed, that we should probably make him a $4 million a year coordinator at this point. Just kind of reset the bar, and this is our guy, and we're going to make a statement and pay him as the highest paid coordinator in the country, because that's how good our defense is. And again, his philosophy has been great. The kids play hard for him, and you got to remember, like, you go back and watch that Utah game in the Rose Bowl and that Michigan game and that Oregon game in 2021. Like, that's where our defense was before he showed up. It was a disaster. And over the 3 years since he took over, it's gotten better and better and better. Now it's first in the nation. So there's not much to complain about on the defensive side, but I would make a statement. I'd make him a $4 million coordinator. So I don't think he's going to go. But again, you have to understand at this time of the year, when there's coaching rumors, that a lot of it is the agents drawing interest and the agents trying to secure more money for their clients. Because again, they get paid a percentage of what those guys make. So if they make a 3% commission or a 5% commission, like, if you can go secure another million or $1.5 million, then you get to take the money right off the top of that. So you take the money off the gross, not the net, in the agent world. So yeah, I mean, he's going to be a popular name, and it doesn't surprise me at all. So be interesting to see if Steve Sarkisian goes to Dallas. McCarthy's out now, and be interesting to see who's the next guy in line for the Cowboys. Dave Mathis, what's being the final game of this team? If Day can run up the score, do you think he will? 51-3. RHIO. I mean, I think that he'll try. I mean, he did versus Indiana, but I don't know. Like, I think he just wants to win it by a point. And, obviously there's some guys that are infatuated with running the score up. Marcus hasn't been as talkative as Kirk Cignetti was. Kirk Cignetti was pretty talkative leading up to that game, and I think Ryan wanted to kind of shove it up his hind end a little bit. And plus, like, when you're in the regular season and you're fighting for playoff seeding, and how big was it that we had a home game versus playing in Neyland Stadium? Every point matters in the playoff thing. Now, in the national championship, I believe in karma, and I believe in the gods of football. And if you want to run it up on somebody, you can do it, and that's great. But I think that stuff eventually comes back to bite you. So I would just win with class, take a knee. I mean, if I'm on the 1 yard line and we're winning and there's 30 seconds left, and again, maybe I'm not a killer. You can call me a softie or a pussy or whatever you want to call me, but I'm not going to show up my opponent. And again, it doesn't mean I don't like him. It doesn't mean I want to be friends with him, but it's just like, I think that there's a way to win with class and dignity. And that was something I was talking to a friend today about how, when we played at Michigan in 05 and 07, I was a captain, played every snap. I never thought about putting the flag in the middle of the field. And there's actually a photo of me in 05 where I have an Ohio State flag and I'm waving it around in the stadium. It was in the Lantern, which is the student newspaper at Ohio State. And I never in a million years thought of planting the flag in the middle of the field, because I thought it was, it's a karma thing to me. Like, I mean, if I go do that and act like a douchebag and try to shout my opponent and whatever, then eventually it's going to come back and haunt you, if you do that stuff. Because football it's a ruthless, cold game, man. And it's like, if you act a certain way, eventually, like I said, our kicker that missed that kick against Georgia, and this doesn't matter. And again, this is just me, but when we beat Utah in that Rose Bowl and he waved at the kid, like the kid that dove to try to block it, and I didn't like that. And again, I don't care. Maybe I'm an old head, maybe whatever. And then the very next year, when he has a chance to win the game versus Georgia, he shanks it. So what's the kick that people remember him for, or they remember Noah Ruggles for? And again, I don't know Noah Ruggles. I don't care. But again, I just think that, you win with class. And I don't think you need to show up your opponent when they lose. And again, this team's been excellent about that. And it's been something that I've really been proud of. But I think that, again, the gods of football are very cruel. So if you want to taunt them and taunt your opponent and act stupid, then that's fine. But again, that's just me, whatever. Dev, what's up, brother? Make sure you guys follow the Buckeye Boys. They were going today. It's the Buckeye Boys with a Z, BOYZ. They have a great show. They do a great job, him and Mello. So make sure you follow Dev. He's been one of our biggest supporters. Awesome dude. And he is he's on the road more than Willie Loman, man, because he's been to every bowl game and he's going to the Natties. So his credit card is probably looking awesome right now. But Devin, I appreciate you, brother. Love you to death, my dude. Chance for a shutout this game? I don't think so. I think Notre Dame's got enough talent where they'll break one. The quarterback can run, and they're talented. But I don't think they're going to score much, because I think our defense is good. And our guys just need to not fall down. Like Penn State's guys were falling down, and they couldn't run it versus Penn State, and they had those big splash plays where the coverages got mixed up. But our secondary is much better than Penn State's. So, just my opinion. I don't think there's going to be a shutout. Jared Brandon, what is up, brother? I hope you're doing great. Appreciate all your support. Thank you for being on here every night, my dude. And thanks for being on. Remember, going to wait till the last minute and hopefully grab some natty tickets at the last minute. Only 4 hours from Atlanta. Any really good restaurants to recommend? Nevada OH. I have never formally spent the night in Atlanta. I've driven through Atlanta on my way to Florida a bunch of times. I've never stayed in Atlanta. Obviously, I was joking about Magic City and all the clubs that are in the rap songs, but I don't know. Like, I'm sure there's people in the chat, and honestly, like, you guys in the chat that are going should exchange emails and contact info and whatever, and grab lunch together. A lot of you guys I know are kind of going solo or maybe going with one other person. So, again, I'm not going to be there because, again, as much as I joke about Nevada about, I don't get to go and whatever, I genuinely don't want to go. I want a podcast after the game. If you guys want me to do a live stream, put that in the chat. Put it in the comments if you guys want me to live stream, because I can live stream during the game and kind of give my commentary live during the game. If you guys would be interested in that, let me know. I know a lot of you guys probably want to listen to Kirk Herbstreit, not Kirk Barton, but it's fine. I'm just teasing. But I'm considering doing that. So, the setback is I can't watch it with my family if I'm live streaming, but this is an important game, and I think it'll be a fun game. So I might break that out for you guys. So let me know if you want to do that in the comments. We did one last year for the Michigan Bama game. We lost that one because we were rooting for Bama. We're not going to lose this one. So, guys, so get together. And if you guys have restaurant suggestions for Atlanta, put it in the comments. Again, I appreciate you guys. Also, in terms of the tickets, I just, I always feel like if you buy early, they kind of prey on your fears. Like they fear that you're going to think, oh my God, there's no way that I'm going to get into the stadium or the tickets are going to skyrocket. I always feel like the market crashes because once people figure out that, it's too expensive to go, the hotels are expensive, the flights are expensive, because again, like when you're in Columbus, man, you get destroyed. As soon as they announce as soon as we say we're going, all the flights go crazy expensive and the hotels are expensive. So a lot of people, they've got this ambition to go, but then they end up sitting it out. And then I feel like the market always crashes, so again, in the age of the digital ticket where you can buy your ticket on your iPhone, you don't need the paper ticket. You don't need to worry that the guy in the corner is selling you a counterfeit ticket, waving them in the air. You just gotta be on your phone. And again, I think it's a great system, and I wait as long as possible. Like there's times I've gone to Ohio State games in the last 2 years and I've bought my ticket literally sitting in my truck in the parking lot. So, just kind of is what it is at this point. So, yeah, that's just what I would do. I think that's the easiest way to do it. You get that up there a few times. Make sure you get them all. Dave Buckeye Lieb, thank you for being an Ultra member. We just hammered the team up north in Ann Arbor, and the natives are angry. Who do you want with you? I will take Alonzo Spellman and Derek Isaman. Ooh, that is really good. Who would I want with me? If this is all time, including guys that have passed on, I'd take Jim Stillwagon, Jack Tatum, and Will Smith, 3 of the baddest human beings on earth. God bless. Current guys, I mean, James was a tough customer. Quinn Pickhock was tough. Cam Hayward was humongous and tough. God, who else? Nate Ebner is a guy who's really tough. I mean, Nate Ebner might be the toughest Ohio State Buckeye of all time. He's a kid that most of you might not know, but he's a kid that played for the Patriots, won a bunch of Super Bowls, and he only played like 3 defensive snaps his entire career. And then he went in the 6th round. Belichick got a tip from Vrabel that, hey, you should take this guy as a special teamer. And Nate had a great NFL career. I think he played like 7 or 8 years and made a bunch of money. Tough as nails. His dad worked at a junkyard. His dad got murdered at a junkyard. It's a terrible story, horrific story. But Nate used to literally go with him, on the weekends to the junkyard, and they would catch people stealing stuff, and they'd beat up people. So, I mean, he's not some fake tough guy. Like Nate Ebner's a legit tough guy. So Nate would probably be on the list too. So I love Nate Ebner to death, and I need to get him on this show bad. He's a great dude. AZ Tinkerer Gamer. I love games. If you guys are into video gaming, that is my stuff. So I do that a little bit at night. AZ Taker Gamer, thanks for being an ultra member. What do you think our D will do to limit the Leonard runs and the running back catching out of the backfield? Seeing that's how Texas was scoring against us. No, I mean, you can't defend everything, but I don't think that their skill guys necessarily scare us. I think that we need to shut their run down, shut down Jeremiah Loving in the key runs. And I think that that's Cody Simon. The guy that's going to be instrumental in all that is Caleb Downs. That's why he's playing more of a linebacker-ish type role. And again, like I said, he lines up at Sam linebacker where he's kind of like playing nickel back. Essentially, he lines up in the middle of the field at that kind of inverted Mike spot, Mike middle linebacker spot. They do that so that he can kind of cover everything, kind of build the defense around him where it's like, Caleb, use your instincts, go make plays, and everyone else will just make you correct. Because he's like, sometimes you get these guys that are just rare and you build the defense around him and you tell everyone else, like, whatever he does, you just go opposite and cover for him. And Caleb is that guy. So I think Caleb will be instrumental in stopping that. But that's a great question. So I'm digging into some super chats now. Appreciate you guys being on here with me. Holding this thing down like we do. Let me see. Super chats. Oh, excuse me. I got to get my little asterisks out of here. Trestles Spectacles, thank you for the 10. I hope you're having a great night. Do you think they will start a new trend at rotating offensive linemen like they've been doing for the playoffs? It's a good way to play young guys and keep them fresh. That is a great question. I'm kind of a fan of it, honestly, because I think it keeps guys engaged. I think that, and again, I have no inside information on this, but I think like Luke Montgomery, if you didn't play him this playoffs, there's probably a decent shot he would enter the transfer portal because you're basically saying that Tigre and Austin Sourveld are your starting guards for next year because they're both returning. Carson Hinsman's returning. So if you don't play Luke, then he's probably pretty disenfranchised because he's year 2 in the program and hasn't played much. And again, this is not from Luke or anyone associated with Luke. This is just if I was in Luke's shoes, how I would be feeling. And Luke's a talented kid. His brother's going to Georgia. So again, would Georgia offer a bunch of money for a really talented young offensive line? Probably. I know what our guys are getting offered in the portal, and it's crazy money. So Luke is he would have been a hot commodity, and I think that kind of forces your hand to play some guys more to keep them here. And again, there's nothing from Luke on that or anyone else, but I just something I surmise as to why all of a sudden he started playing in the playoffs. And again, he's played great. So I mean, it's been a revelation, and now you've got some real decisions to make with Austin Sourveld, Tigre, Carson, and Luke. You've got basically 4 really good interior guys, and they're all back next year. So, does one of them start off at right tackle? Do you put Luke at right tackle? Do you put, because obviously Ethan, the kid from Rice, is going to be our left tackle in all likelihood. But how does that shake out? Do you put, you try Luke at left tackle, put Ethan at right tackle. I don't know. But it gives you a lot of options because Luke's a versatile kid that he played tackle when he got here and shifted into guard. But I think he's got tackle footwork, and I think he can hold up on the edge. So. But I like it. And again, I think it has more to do with the portal than anything to keep the kids happy. Soft Nations, thank you for the 5. Do you expect Notre Dame to stick to running man coverage? Seems like a bad idea. Also, thoughts on Riley Leonard. He's a tough dude. Yeah, Riley Leonard's a great competitor and good player. I don't know if I'd want him to be on my NFL quarterback, but he's a guy that you got to worry about his legs. And again, mobile quarterbacks are tough because you got to dedicate resources to stopping those guys. Caleb Downs, he's got to be ready to go on that. But I think that he's a really good player. I mean, Notre Dame's been really aggressive with the man coverage, but I think that at some point, they can run that, but they haven't seen skill like our guys. Like, let's be real. We have the best skill players in the nation. So, it's all fun and games to run man coverage versus Northern Illinois and USC and Navy and whoever else. But even Penn State and Georgia, their skill guys are terrible. Like Brandon Ennis would be the number one receiver on Penn State or Georgia, like today, and he's our number 4. So everybody above Brandon would be their number 1s by a country mile. JJ'd probably have 50 targets a game if he went to Georgia because all their receivers stink. They don't have Brock Bowers to bail them out anymore. And Penn State was a tight end led offense. And Warren was had one of the best seasons ever for a tight end. He's a great player, but. That's not saying much for the skill guys. Julian Fleming went to Penn State and he didn't even play. I don't think he didn't have a catch in this last game. So I don't know. not real good. I think that they gotta run zone, and Marcus knows that. I mean, if he wants to give those guys a chance, you gotta give them a chance and run some zone. Buckeye one next for the deuce. Were the coaches okay with JJ only getting 3 targets? Well, that's kind of the problem with doing, with running an offense. It's like being in the NBA. Like if you've got 2 guys guarding Steph Curry, like whoever the open guy is, it's got to be able to hit some shots or do something with it. Like that's the old adage is, you can't really force it. I'm sure they're going to do some creative things to get JJ involved because he's just so good. But they were, bracketing with a safety over top. So I mean, they were just not going to let JJ beat us. Like it's like if a team plays 10 guys in the box and you try to run it and you get 1 or 2 yards every play, it's kind of the same thing. Eventually you got to go elsewhere, and we did. Garnell was great. Emeka was great. G. Scott picked up a bunch of scraps, and we won. So again, it's sacrifice, and and to JJ's credit, he wasn't pouting, and I think JJ knows that if JJ gets 1 catch for the rest of his career, he'll probably still be a top 2 pick in the draft where he's eligible, because everyone knows what he is, and again, they're going to scheme to stop him for the rest of his career, and he's going to have games like that just because people are going to put 3 guys over top of him, and it's hard to get the ball to a guy who's getting triple teamed. Armed Therapy, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my dude. Sorry I missed it, but have you talked about our tight ends 85 and 89? I think it is. I think they're blocking. Seems to be they're both smashing people. Yeah, Bennett Christian and Will Kazmarek have really done well. Will Kazmarek coming back next year is something that I think is an underrated ad, because now you look at that room, you're gonna have Claire from Purdue as our number 1 tight end. You'll have Bennett, you'll have Kazmarek, and they got to figure out what's going on with Jelani. I mean, because Jelani's the guy that I think should be more productive, and I don't know if he's disenfranchised because we've got 3 guys in front of him now, but I don't know what it is. But they got to figure out a way to get Jelani's engine to run and make him more of a factor. But at this point in the season, it's just about winning the national title. It's not about people's feelings. But that'll be something to watch as we hit portal season, because with Travis Clare showing up, he's an excellent tight end, probably the best tight end in the nation next year. He'll be a big factor in this offense, and a really good player, Ohio kid. So I don't know. Like sometimes there's just not enough room at the end when you're the number 4 tight end. But I think that those guys have both done a great job in blocking. And honestly, G. Scott has done a great job blocking the perimeter. And that's something where I've been very critical of G's blocking. But I'll show you. I mean, let's go right back to the play that I was talking about. So this is the same play with JJ coming across the formation. Watch G. So G has got a really tough block. He's on the edge here. They got him in the slot. He's going to block this nickel here. And he blocks this guy for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds out in the open, no help, doesn't get a hold, doesn't get a holding call. His hands might be a little wide, but I mean, he gets away with it. And it's enough to spring him. So, these guys get excited when they spring these guys because, again, when you're selfless and you're trying to do what's right for your teammates, like you do that. So his blocking has improved tremendously since the middle of the season. So again, that's what I always tell guys. I'm like, guys can get better. And he's relatively new to playing tight end. He's been doing it for, like 3 seasons now after being a receiver in high school and a receiver for his first couple of years. And it takes some time. But again, that's a huge play. And I wanted to highlight it. Cause like I said, I'm critical of guys when they deserve it. And I'll praise guys when they deserve it. I don't blanket not like guys or have whipping boys. I've been hard on Tigre, I've been hard on G, just because the blocking has been lackluster at times, and they've both gotten better. So again, you got to give them a lot of credit because they've worked at it. And I'm sure Justin Fry and Keenan Bailey, their position coaches, and Chip Kelly and Mickey Marotti and Ryan Date, all these guys have really pushed these guys to improve. And we're a different team than we were when we lost to Michigan. We're a different team than we were when we lost to Oregon. We are ascending, and a lot of that is credit to Mickey Marotti, because when you're peaking at the right time, a lot of that has to do with strength and conditioning, getting rest and recovery. Which again, I know that sounds so stupid, because again, you don't realize how important sleep and recovery is until you get to the 16th game of the season, and you realize like, yeah, I better go to bed and get my 8 hours and eat right and diet and hydrate, and all of that adds up over the course of a season. Get the cold tub. So I got more and more into that as I got into deeper into my career. And by my senior year, I had it pretty dialed in, and it makes a huge difference. And I think that these guys are kind of in that same vein. ARPA, thank you for the 5. Believe in saying, but it would be cinema to see Quinn beat Texas. That has been crapping on him all season. I would love that. There's no chance of it happening. I would love if Quinn came back. Because again, if he came back and beat Texas, it'd be the funniest thing ever. Just because, there's a huge portion of Texas's fan base they've wanted Arch all year. So for him to come up here and be thrown to JJ and Emeka and Carnell, it'd be epic. But Quinn's going to go to the league. I'm sure that the new thing that's going to happen with all these quarterbacks. You just saw it with Carson Beck. You saw it with Cam Ward last year. I mean, Cam Ward was the guy that had declared for the draft and was kind of like a mid-roundish type pick, and comes to Miami and has an incredible year. And he's probably going to be the top pick in the draft. So there's going to be guys that are going to declare for the draft, like Beck did. Get the paperwork. Now he didn't file the paperwork to officially declare for that. He said it online, and then he went to the bidding table, and I'm sure they called us because the way we develop quarterbacks, and Miami obviously made a crazy offer. It said it was $8 to $10 million. So, and his girlfriend goes to Miami, so that all kind of made sense. But I think that's going to be the new meta. I think these guys are going to declare for the draft. Not formally though. They're not going to sign the paperwork, but they're going to declare for the draft, and then they're going to go shop on the market. And they go shop on the market, and well, this is an NFL draft pick level quarterback, and we can have him on our program for a year. And Miami bet. I don't think the kid's any good, and he's coming off of a bum elbow where he's having surgery. So I wouldn't pay that kid a lot of money, but it's just my opinion. And he wasn't great for Georgia this year. So even when he was healthy, so I don't know, but that's kind of going to be the new strategy, I think, for these agents, promoting these quarterbacks and really a lot of position players. Hey, we'll come back out of the portal and be your Cam Ward. And Cam Ward enhanced his draft stock tremendously, where he's going to be the first pick in the draft, it looks like. So, but we'll see. But I would love for Quinn to come back, but it's never going to happen. But it would be amazing. Dev, what is up, brother? Appreciate you, my dude. Thank you for being an Ultra member. Thank you for being a great moderator. And thank you for running Buckeye Boys, a great show. How easy is it for a team that is mostly plays man to switch to zone for one game? 24-26, natty lock, Nevada OH. I'll do it. IO. Every team plays zone defense. There's no team that's 100% man all of the time. There's teams that have high tendencies of man, but again, it depends on who you're playing. Again, they haven't seen us yet, so they got to play some zone unless they want to get absolutely fried. Because their guys just flat out can't cover. Nobody can cover our guys. There isn't a team in the country that can cover JJ and Emeka at the same time, man to man. There's just no way. So, again, they can mix in some zone. It'll be interesting. That'll be part of the feeling out process early in the game is what are we getting versus certain formations and how are they trying to defend JJ? And that's something that, I'm sure Chip Kelly and Ryan Day talk about, okay, well, this is what they can do. I mean, the worst case scenario is what Texas did, where they just dedicate 3 guys to JJ every play. And, okay, well, JJ's going to be, he's going to be well rested for the title game because he's not going to get any targets this game. So, but like I said, Marcus is going to have to play zone unless he wants to get fried. I mean, I pray to God, you guys should, when you hit your knee and say your prayers before you go to bed at night, pray that they play man. If they play man, this thing will be over in the first quarter like it was against Oregon. So, because they can't run with our guys, but we'll see how it goes. Tony Stop, thank you for the 5. Plan B for QB injury are most field happening. Who is taking the most snaps of the ones? Devin, easily. Devin's the guy. They're not going to put Julian in yet. Devin's been the second. He's been the backup all year. Obviously has a start under his belt versus the Cotton Bowl. Didn't go how he wanted it to go. Devin would be the guy. And it showed in the Michigan game. Devin came in when Will was in the injury tent with that nerve injury. So it'd be Devin. But I think that they're going to do everything in their power to preserve him and not run him too much and protect him because they don't want anything to happen to Will. Because that's the one thing that could happen that could make this close if something happens to Will Howard. And again, this is coming from your boy. Again, I was on that 06 team that lost to Florida, and Ted Ginn breaks his leg on the first play of the game, and he's our best player and highest draft pick on the field, the guy that played the longest in the NFL on the field, and he's out after he got hurt that one play, and then he came back for 2 plays and couldn't play. So again, it sucks, but sometimes it's not your night. But that's not going to be the case on Monday versus Notre Dame. Don Schaefer, thank you for the 20, and thank you for being an Ultra member as well. Leonard is no superstar, but he does find ways to win and moves the ball with his legs, and there's something to that, I will add. Thoughts on defensive keys to shutting that down? Winning the Natty on Monday will be an awesome early birthday present. Well, happy birthday, Don. I hope that you have a great birthday. And again, there's no better present in the world than winning a national title because it makes everybody in the state of Ohio happy. It makes Buckeye Scoop happy. It makes the chat happy, the Scoop family happy. So it's going to be awesome. But I think the key is Caleb Downs. I mean, Caleb Downs is a guy. He's really shut down a lot of the RPO stuff that teams like to do. He's really worked hard at the Q run. And it's just tackling him. And again, if he wants to run, you got to punish him. I mean, I'm not saying be cheap, but I'm saying you got to hit him. You got to knock him out. I mean, that guy wants to run, man. Lathan and Jordan Hancock and Cody Simon and Caleb, they got to put one on him. And again, it's not dirty, but I mean, that's why you run your quarterback, you run that risk where he could get hurt, and you gotta strike him and make him not want to run anymore. Gabe Gaines, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my friend. Any news on the Team Up North scandal? That's Nevada's area. I apologize, but he's the guy that has the sources on that. So as we get news, I'm sure he'll be breaking it. Also, can Day recruit for the basketball team too? Nevada OH, let's say IO. Nevada, as soon as Nevada gets on the trust me, we'll do another Michigan show. It's been a hot minute, but if there's that information, then we don't break it. We're not just gonna ad lib on it. So the basketball team's been interesting this year because that kid quit the team basically because he wanted more NIL money. So he's faking a mental health crisis and he's sitting out, which is fine. Whatever. I mean, I don't really follow basketball very much, but I love football. And football is still the number one to me. AJ, thank you for the 10. Buckeye lacrosse starts 3 weeks after football wins it all. Yeah, I mean, again, we've got 35 sports that roll at Ohio State, so baseball is going to be coming up here. Lacrosse, like our lacrosse team is, they're pretty good. I mean, our baseball team should be good this year too. So get out and support those teams. Go support the wrestling team. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a wrestling match at the Cavelli Center, but it is awesome. It is an incredible environment. It's nice, small arena, really loud, fun. I went with John Lorman, who's a big wrestling donor, to a match, and we sat right on ringside. We were right next to the mat, and it's awesome. They beat Cornell on the last match of the game, and it was spectacular. So get out and support the volleyball team. They play at Cavelli. Get out and support them because it's really fun to go to those matches and kind of see what everybody does. A. Willis, thank you for the 10. Watched the film on an unnamed bald on Zach's channel, an unnamed bald from yours. It has seemed to me that Chip anticipated JJ getting the attention. So the first reads were Mech and Tate. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's what Chip saw and what Zach saw. I mean, when you can watch the tape and see that, you got to figure, again, in football, it's not, these coaches, when a guy goes crazy, that next week he's going to get a lot of attention. Like JJ was the MVP of the Rose Bowl and 7 catches for 200 yards or whatever it was and 190 yards. I don't know what the numbers were, but they were ungodly. So, when you're game planning against that and you're watching that film all week, you're going to say, okay, here's the deal. If I'm the defensive coordinator, we're not going to let that guy beat us. Anyone else, if Mecca beats us, great. Carnell, Quinshawn, we're not going to let that guy beat us. It's like if you're playing, like the Rams are playing the Vikings tonight. You're not letting Justin Jefferson go crazy. Let Jordan Addison do it. Let Hawkinson do it. Don't let Jefferson, who's the highest paid receiver in the league and wears a $2 million necklace every game, don't let that guy beat you. Just put 2 corners on him, rough him up. Don't let him have some signature game versus you, unless you're dumb. I mean, that's just the thing. And like JJ, they bottled him up, and it wasn't JJ's fault because again, everybody else ate. And sometimes that's sometimes your value to the team is the amount of attention you draw, and it lets other guys kind of have a shot to contribute. So yeah, I love Zach to death though. That's my boy. He's a good friend of mine. Sandy, Bob's Patio Burgers and Beer. I hope you're good, my man. I got to get up there one of these days. I wish that they could DoorDash, but it's like an hour away. But maybe I could get that done. Fun fact, Will and Leonard were bunkmates at the Manning QB camp. That's a great camp for those guys to go to. Also saw a lengthy replay of Trey taking a knee to the groin, which led to him hitting the wrong Texas defender. Refs always catch the second guy. Yeah, I mean, like I get it, man. If someone takes what you think is a cheap shot or something where it's, it could harm you physically, I could get being upset. Now, again, your trade has got to hit the right guy, but that's just part of it. I mean, I knew it was like, you're not going to say anything. I mean, these guys are so callous to words. Like, when you're on the football field, like it literally is sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Like, people say all kinds of crazy stuff to try to elicit a reaction from you. And I mean, people say crazy stuff to me, and I was always just stone faced, like a stone faced killer. Like, I never talked trash in the games because I was focused on the game, keeping my energy. And, eventually, like when people say all kinds of crazy stuff to you and you never acknowledge it, they stop. Now, if you start acting crazy, then it gets incendiary and they know that they're getting to you. But, nobody can get to me. I mean, my blood pressure doesn't go above 40. I don't care what you say to me. Because, again, this is how I am. And it's kind of the ultimate FU to them when they say all this crazy stuff, and it doesn't even bug you at all, because it's like I tell people, it's like, I'm a tank and they're a mosquito. So you don't need to worry about me. You don't have to worry about if that mosquito lands on a tank. You don't need to go chase it away. Like, it's not going to do anything. And that's kind of what it's like when these guys, now if someone cheap shots me, different ball of wax, then it's on. I mean, I had a guy cheap shot me in practice at Ohio State, and it was World War III, basically. And it was funny because Jim Haycock, who I love to death, was our defensive coordinator, and he asked me why I was such an a-hole. And he's like, what is wrong with you? Why are you such an a-hole? Why are you getting? And I'm like, and I later said, watch the film. Your guy pushed me from behind after I beat his ass on the field. And again, like, again, between the whistles, man, I'm gonna maul you. But when it's done, it's done. I'm not. I never cheap shotted a single player at Ohio State, or any other game. There's no shots of me cheap shotting a guy after the whistle or doing anything dirty. But in between the whistles, like, I'm gonna get after you. Good. And his guy that I murdered got pushed back, and I'm walking back to that hole, and he runs up and two-hand punches me and pushes me in the back. So after that, man, it was World War III. Because again, you're not gonna try me. I don't care who you are. But you can say whatever you want to me, because I don't care. You try me, you shove me in the back, and that's a different world. Tisha, 1977, thank you for being ultra member. Thank you for the 5. My first live show in a while, but I listen every day on Apple. Appreciate you, my friend. Huge congrats to Baby Buck, and the Bucks are killing it. Bucks 27-3 in the Natty. That would be great. I'd love that. I think it would be spectacular if we could hold them to that, and Jim Knowles should definitely get 4 million if we hold them to 3. Congratulations on getting back for the live show. I don't know if Baby Buck means that you have a baby or if you're congratulating my baby, but whoever you're congratulating, congratulations. That's great. And I'm glad you're on here, my dude. Thanks for being an ultra member. So I love, the more you guys get these live shows, the better, because it's just fun to have everybody interact and kick it. Madamus, what is up, brother? Madamus Prime Entertainment, thanks for being an ultra member. Hope you're doing great. Thanks for the 5. When you say stats are for losers, Q didn't have a lot of stats, but had 2 DDs, got key first downs, along with a huge block. Thoughts? Nevada OH, I'll say IO. Well, I mean, Bill Belichick's the guy that says that, and I agree with him. Stats are for losers, because there are people that, they get obsessed with, well, I threw for 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns, and like Kyle McCord. Like, Kyle McCord threw for 8 million yards and broke the ACC record, but like, what did he win? He didn't win anything. I mean, he didn't win the ACC, didn't make the playoff. So again, you could throw for 1 million yards, great in the dark when nobody cares. But like, Will Howard has good stats. They're not great stats. They're not stats that got him invited to the Heisman Trophy, but he's been fantastic, and he's going to win the national championship. So to me, all that matters is winning. Figure out a way to win the big ring. The rest takes care of itself. I don't care if Will Howard only had however many, and Will Howard had a spectacular year. It's a year that, from a numbers standpoint, it's better than Troy's Heisman year in 06. But, Troy beat Michigan, and, the thing is like, losing to Michigan over the last few years has cost us a ton of individual awards, just because, I feel like that resonates with the voters, and it penalizes us. That's why, if we beat Michigan, CJ Stroud might have 2 Heismans, and Will Howard is probably at the Heisman ceremony, and we're the 1 seed in the playoffs. But it's been a major issue. So, but yeah, Quinshon was fantastic. And again, sometimes, like, when guys like Quinshon throw those blocks and they do some dirty work, good pass protection. Like that should count as something to me. Him and Trey, I thought were both excellent. But Trey's clearly, I think, better than Quinshon at this point. It'd be great if Quinshon came back next year, honestly. I don't know if he will. But with NIL, anything is possible. And I think it really helped Trey Henderson. I think Trey, late first round, maybe second roundish talent. I'd take Trey in the first round all day and have him be a feature back because he's got that kind of gear, in my opinion, that kind of pass protection. And so, like I always say, if the Chiefs take him, watch out. It won't be fair. John Wick, thank you for the 5. I had a debate with my Clemson friend. If the college football had a draft for lineups, I'd take OSU number 1 on defense and offense. What say you? I completely agree. I mean, I don't even think there's a debate. I mean, guys, in the chat, let me know who you taking over Ohio State's offense. I'm not taking Oregon. I mean, that might be the closest one. I'm not taking Texas. I'm not taking, Texas's skill was surprisingly average, I thought. I mean, they didn't have a monster wide receiver, a monster tight end. They didn't have a great running back. I don't know. Oregon, their skill, I thought Oregon's skill was below average. Again, they had those long bombs with Stewart and Tez, but I don't know. Would you take that over JJ and Emeka and Carnell? No. I mean, there's no backfield in the country that's better than ours. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to be fair, but and defensively, it's not even close. There's nobody in the same universe from not just a talent perspective, but from a leadership and a coordination perspective with Jim Knowles. Like I wouldn't take any defensive talent or any coordinator. So, and I do the same on offense. I won't take any offensive talent or coordinator with Chip. So it's like I said, that's why this is a rare team. And as much as people want to, be upset about stuff, I'm like, guys, I don't know. I mean, with NIL, the odds of us seeing a team like this again are high, but good God, guys. I mean, you better enjoy this one because we got 7 days left with this team, and then it's going to be, that's it. I mean, 1 week from today, it's the national championship, and you're never going to see a lot of these guys play at Ohio State again. So you better enjoy it because it's going to go quick. You're going to blink, and you're going to be wishing that we had some of these guys in uniform. So let's see if I got any more Ultra questions. Again, I appreciate you guys being on here. Another great show thus far. Let me see if I have any more. Tinkerer. Okay. All right. Dave Mathis, thank you for being an Ultra member. Appreciate you, my man. How much would you be worth in the portal if they had it back then? It's a great question, and it's something that just based off the knowledge that I have of what some backup offensive linemen are getting. I mean, backup offensive linemen are getting that are our backups that'll start at other places are getting between $700,000 and $1 million to transfer. Guys that aren't big players. Again, I talked to a lot of the agents, and they know the offers, and some of these schools just want to add Ohio State level linemen, and so some guys that people think are busts or aren't great are getting paid a lot of money to move to new programs. And again, that's something where I told people that depth is an illusion. If I hit the portal as a young tackle where, you get remember I was a freshman All-American, didn't give up a sack my freshman year, played against, first round players like Tom Bahali and Trent Cole, who is a Pro Bowler, and Lamar Woodley. And I shut all those guys out. None of them had a sack on me. So if you hit the portal after that year, like what's a guy worth who could start for you for 3 years? $1 million, $1.5 million? I don't know. But I know what the going rate is for our backups. And, I wasn't a backup for very long. So that's just the market, and the market's crazy. But, that's why I get why some of these guys hit the portal, because, some of these guys aren't going to play in the National Football League. But they've got, they have a chance to put some money in their pockets and maybe pay their mom's house off or whatever. And I don't begrudge that. Plus, they can guarantee they're going to start. Like, Zen Mikulski, I think, is a great kid and really did a nice job for us at tackle versus Oregon when we went up there. I don't think he's going to start for us next year. We brought in 2 tackles, and he's going to go to Indiana and be guaranteed to start, and he's going to make a lot of money. So, not mad about it at all. Good for him, and that's just kind of the new wave. And we got 2 tackles that we thought were better than Zen because we paid them like they were better than Zen. So, just the new world. But yeah, it's crazy, but hey, it's good for the kids, man. They deserve it. And Dave Mathis, thank you for an Ultra member. Thoughts on Penn State's logic not using receivers for anything at all in their offense? I just don't think they have anybody that's threatening. I think that's something where you go to that if I'm James Franklin, I go to that wide receivers coach and say, what have you been doing? Like, these are the best guys that we can get in the entire nation. And you look at Ohio State, I mean, like, we've got guys that are redshirted that are better than Mylan Graham, and some of these guys, they're better than anybody they have. So I don't know. I mean, that tight end was the beneficiary of them having, he's kind of like Bowers. Like, Bowers was the beneficiary of Georgia just not having any good receivers. I mean, they had McConkey. I take that back. Last year they had McConkey, who's incredible. And I have him in my Dynasty Fantasy League, and I'll have him for his whole career because great player. But they didn't have that this year, and that killed them from a skill game perspective. T-Shay 1977, thank you for being an Ultra member. Would you rather have 1 year of years knowing Julian will leave but get a shot at a repeat, or be able to get 3 to 4 years out of Julian knowing there will be growing pains? I'm taking Julian over years. Well, we're not going to get Quinn, but I would take Quinn any day of the week. I mean, I think Quinn's excellent. I think that his talent kind of let him down at Texas like this year. And I know Texas is supposed to have great players, but I didn't see any great receivers out there. I didn't see any great tight ends. I didn't see a great running back. I think if you put him with J.J. Smith, who knows what they could do, let alone Ryan Day and Chip Kelly's scheme. I mean, even his offensive line. Like, I mean, that right tackle that Jack beat for that strip sack fumble recovery touchdown, he's a high draft pick. I mean, 2nd round pick, 3rd round pick. I mean, both their tackles are the top 10 on Mel Kiper's big board. And, the guy who's the left tackle is the number 1 tackle in the nation, just declared for the draft, and he'll probably be a top 5 pick. So, even with all that talent, like the Texas didn't have the skill. But again, I like Julian. I think he's going to be great here, but I just think that, if you can get a guy that's proven that he can do it and he knows how to do it and he's really good at doing it, I take the sure thing. It's kind of like getting Will Howard. Like, I mean, we had that kind of same situation where we could have stuck with Kyle McCord for another year. Kyle, frankly, I didn't think was very good. And then, Will Howard shows up and leads the team and runs the offense and is a great runner and converts and a great leader. And, and like, it kind of is what it is. We're going to have 1 year Will Howard and just kind of have at it. But I think that a lot of these teams are going to start having a 1 year quarterback that's a star and he's proven. And because the hard part is, like, well, if your quarterback's not productive, it kills the whole offense. You can't be productive with a bad quarterback. So I would take Quinn. And again, I love Julian Stanton. I think he's got great upside. But at that position, if you can get a proven All-American level guy, a guy that would be like a preseason All-American, you have to take him, in my opinion. And again, I think Nevada disagrees with me on that, but that's his decision. T-Shade 1977. Oh, Baby Buck. I got it. Okay, Baby Nevadabuck. Okay, I appreciate you, my man. Yeah, I'll let him know. Hopefully he's getting in safe. But yeah, Little Nevada was, I mean, literally the best World Juniors tournament in history for a goaltender. 3 shutouts. Your goals against average was like 0.6, I think, which is insane. Like, less than a goal a game. Really played incredibly well and played every minute. So she was a horse. So good for her. Lady Buck, thank you for being an Ultra member. What is up with the black tape or paint in the face? Why doesn't everyone wear it? Did you wear any? I never wore eye black in my entire life. I think some guys do it so that they can write something in silver marker, like Abdul Carter wrote Darth Vader across his whatever, and guys write Bible verses. And there was a period where they banned writing anything on the eye black, but I guess all the bans are gone now. I think, the guys obviously wear eye black to keep the glare out of their eyes. You see baseball players wear it and football players. It was never my thing. So for whatever reason, I was able to survive the glare of the sun with no eye black on. But I think a lot of the stuff that these guys wear is just for style. The guys, they wear turf tape up their elbows. You'll see the strip of tape that goes from their wrist to their elbows, and they'll wear it on grass. I get if you wear it on like or your field turf, or if you slide or you get tackled, it could scrape you up and you have those red strawberries all over your arms. But these guys wear it on grass just because it looks cool. So I think that the nose tape and the eye black stuff is just to look cool, in my opinion. So I think that's the end of the ultras. I think that we've got everything. Let me make sure I don't have any more ultras. And we're at hour 9. Okay, so this game is off and running, so we're going to wrap this thing up. Make sure I don't have any more Scoop Ultras on here. Cool. All right, let's wrap this show up. Again, I appreciate you guys as always. Thank you guys for being a huge part of the Scoop family, and thank you for all that you guys do. love you guys to death. Again, I always say that just because know that you are loved, and we appreciate you guys being on here because it's fun. I love seeing you guys all kick it, get to know each other. If you guys are going to the game, make sure to exchange email information with each other, meet up. You'd be shocked. A lot of people have made really good friends on this thing because it's just great people. So I think you guys would really have a fun time in Atlanta. You guys get down there, make sure you travel safe, be careful, and get ready for an incredible experience because winning the national championship is going to be really fun. So again, if you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, I appreciate all that you guys do. Love you guys to death and appreciate you. If you guys want to do something huge for us, give us a follow on Apple Podcasts. Right inside your iPhone, click on the purple podcast app, and then literally just type in Buckeye Scoop, click subscribe, and it's easy peasy, and it really helps us out in a huge way. So with that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. We will talk to you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you guys at 7:10 tomorrow night. Go Bucks.